Greenlight Network presents Football Time.
Hey, and welcome to the Football Time Podcast. We're here with our man, Achilles Rain, to preview the Week 17 NFL season and make our picks. Are you ready to break in the new year and preview the last week of the NFL regular season?
It's finally here, the last week. Definitely not the way I wanted to end this season, but it's still a pretty good season so far.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. Your picks are going downhill, much like your Rams. Life is imitating art right now for you. You're tanking just like they are tanking.
Yes, I'm going for that number one pick in our next year's podcast.
Yeah. All right. So we have to get into our mutuals. We have to find 5 games we agree upon today. I'm going to leave this to you. I'm going to go take a break, and you just go down the list and preview and give me your expertise and pick 5 of these. I'll come back with my picks if that's okay.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like a good idea, especially after the last couple of weeks I've had.
Well, I think you have probably a better read on them than I do because I literally have no clue about this week. I detest gambling on Week 17 because you just never know. And you never know what you're going to get from quarter to quarter. All of a sudden, we could be getting a team's practice squad out there, or a team could be ready to go on vacation. So it's a tough one.
Well, for me, it's weird because I've always treated like regular NFL betting kind of like fantasy football in the sense that I never want to have anything to do with it the last 3 weeks. And it's pretty evident as far as the last couple of weeks, the way things have gone, why I feel that way. I'm a little more conservative, but we're here to make picks, so we're going to make picks one way or another.
Is this a way to next year get a vacation on weeks 14 through 17 before the playoffs start?
No, if it wasn't for the podcast, I think that I probably wouldn't have any action whatsoever over the last couple of weeks, just because you never know what's going to happen these last few weeks. Teams that you think are supposed to win somehow find a way to lose, and then you have injuries and all sorts of things. So I don't like betting, but because of the podcast, it makes it fun to at least try.
Yeah, I'm the same way. As you can see, my bet pick list scaled down tremendously these last couple weeks. You managed to try to find picks. It hasn't always worked best for you, but there's at least some admiration as you're trying to find picks, and I'm cowardly throwing up my 3 picks a week. So there's something to be said for that, at least.
Well, I may be taking a page out of the old Chesterfield notebook this week, just so you know.
You're gonna give us 1 pick?
No, well, I'm not gonna go that low, but I definitely don't see another 5-7 game week for me this week. So,
all right, so let's review our Ringer, FanDuel, Mutual. We went 2 and 3. We did not hit our over 500, but we are still over 500 for the year. The Dolphins -2.5 versus the Raiders was a loss. I guess we should be thankful that they just won, but it's hard to not cover a 2.5 point spread and get that win. So that was a tough one. That probably started out our week on a bad foot.
Yeah, and I've told you before that I have a weird rule where if it's less than 3 points, to me it's just a pick'em game. Well, there goes my rule out the window.
Yes, definitely. All right. Next up, we had the Bears -6.5 for the Jaguars. Good choice there. Next up, Broncos +2.5 versus the Chargers. You'll see that we ended up with a decent win in that one in our regular picks, but did not hit it in our mutual picks. They lost by 3. So the 2.5 number was not our friend this week. It was being unkind to us.
And that was me trying to be conservative because, like I said earlier, I don't like making picks this late in the season. So I figured if I'm going to do anything, I'll go try and go conservative, and it didn't work out too well.
And our next one, I'm counting as a win because we were betting the Eagles with Fletcher Cox. We were up 14-3 at that point in time, and we were on our way to a cruising 3-2 week. And then Fletcher Cox got hurt, and I'm not sure we scored another point and gave up about 35 after that. But Eagles -1.5 was a loss.
Oh gosh, 1.5.
Yeah, I know. All right, and lastly, the wife will not be happy, but it saved us from a 1-4 week. The Bills -6.5. The Bills, the gift that keeps on giving. I think we've rode them pretty strong the last handful of weeks.
Yeah, it's been good for us that they've been really hot lately because we've kind of been counting on them so far and just paid off a little bit.
I don't know if we're going to be able to pull that same trigger this week, unless you have some sort of affinity and affection for Matt Barkley and your USC alum out there in LA.
Well, I was kind of hoping that you had some of that valuable insider information that you seem to dig up every now and then. People aren't aware, but you have an inside track to some of the NFL players, so you get a lot of information.
Well, I will know all these crappy quarterbacks that will be playing because mostly I bet on them throughout their college careers, disappointing or not. So there is knowledge there. That doesn't exactly mean I trust them to win NFL games, however. All right, so you ready to get started? And speaking of said Buffalo Bills, our first game, Miami Dolphins +2.5, Buffalo Bills -2.5. Some fun news. I guess it's not fun for him, but there will be no closer coming in for this game. Ryan Fitzpatrick tested positive for COVID, so it's Tua's game to lose, do or die. I don't know how much Buffalo's starters are going to be playing, but you give me your feel on what Buffalo's going to come out and do. They can still grab that 2 seed. It looks like Pittsburgh's resting their whole team.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to follow suit, but I still think that they play their starters a couple of series just to get them in the game. I don't foresee them playing their starters all game long. Maybe a quarter, if that, because they really, like you said, they could get that second seed, but there's no buy to it. So at this point, I think they're probably looking up and down that playoff seeding and kind of deciding who they'd rather play. So I don't foresee them really playing their starters a lot. Whereas in Miami, they have to win. They're still trying to sneak in somehow. So I could definitely see them playing tough. Offensively, I don't know how many points they can put up. Tua's looked a little sketchy over the last couple of weeks, so it's a little concerning.
Yeah. I can't get a read on this. I'm very scared. We're getting 2 series maybe from the Bills starters, and then they're packing it in if we're lucky. But there's a counter there. Miami is going to Buffalo, and as you might expect, there is rain and snow going to be happening in Buffalo this weekend.
What, you're telling me it snows this time of year?
Yes. You know where it doesn't snow this time of year?
Miami.
It doesn't snow in Miami this time of year. So that makes me a tad nervous with the Dolphins going up there. This is quite a weather change for them with Tua. There is word that Parker might play, so that at least gives them one of their skill position guys. Just for a note, it is 79 degrees in Miami right now. So there's a tad weather difference between Buffalo and Miami, currently speaking. But
you're probably more familiar with this the answer to this question. But when was the last time that Tua played in bad weather?
He did it a handful of times in college, going up to Missouri and stuff like that. But I don't think he's ever played in anything like Buffalo. Southern winter cold is, 40 degrees, rainy. It's uncomfortable. Buffalo winter cold is 20 degrees and massive snow. So I'm not sure how a person who's from Hawaii and then spent his time in Tuscaloosa, how he goes with the snow. The only thing I can say for the Dolphins, I think Parker is supposed to play here. That gives him at least a true weapon on the outside. But I think this game should be a pass. I feel like I'm going to say that a lot, but I'm feeling like this game should be a pass.
What's the line at?
The Bills are 2.5. It hasn't moved too much. It's 3 right now. So they aren't factoring in the Fitzpatrick out yet.
I don't know. I think that being week 17, I think that our best option right now would be to find some of these safer games where a team still has something to play for. And we just kind of decide which team we think could win and then put it in the maybe column because I think it's going to be slim pickings this week.
Oh, it's going to be slim picking. So any other notes on the Buffalo-Miami game you got for us?
No, I mean, you pretty much covered it all. I think that, like I said, Miami definitely has something to play for, whereas in Buffalo, whether they win or lose, it doesn't affect much because they also need other things to fall a certain way to change the seeding. So I don't think that it's too concerning for them whether they win or lose. So I'm looking for them to play their reserves a lot.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on to the next game, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals, the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is at Cincinnati. Baltimore is 11.5-point favorite. Now, I haven't made it my picks, but I've milked Baltimore and their large spreads the last couple weeks, and it's been pretty nice to me. I've gotten that feel that Baltimore's in that domination mode of these weak little teams. But this one, it makes me a little nervous, them on the road in Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati has been terrible, but a little spunky the last couple weeks. But where are you feeling 11.5 in this game?
To be completely honest with you, just the fact that Baltimore still has something to play for makes me feel a little comfortable taking Baltimore. I think that they're going to come out and roll. I don't think Cincinnati can keep up with them, and it's possible that Baltimore gets up early enough to where, it's probably a low-scoring affair, but they still win by, a decent margin. So, I mean, I kind of like Baltimore in this, even at that high spread, which is not something I would normally say, but just based off, this week, the teams that actually have something to play for, I feel like Baltimore's one of them, and they've been really hot lately. So,
yeah, I don't know if in my betting lifetime I've ever taken a team double-digit spreads 3 weeks in a row. So if I took Baltimore again, that would be the 3rd week in a row I've taken a team in double-digit spreads.
And on the road.
Yeah, I think that might be what concerns me more than anything. But Baltimore needs this game. I think they will win pretty easy. I don't really know matchup-wise if Cincinnati can go with it. They've been a little better of late. They've been running the ball, but I don't know if they can run the ball successfully versus this Baltimore defense. Running the ball versus, Houston Texans and the like is much different than running the ball versus Baltimore, who has to win this game.
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. The only thing that I will say about this game, even though the spread's pretty large, Baltimore, man, they're really hot lately, and I don't know. I feel like we should at least keep them in a maybe column, simply because over the last couple of weeks, I've tried to be more conservative with my picks, and I've seen some of these games like Baltimore where they had pretty big spreads, and I didn't take it because I thought it was too wide. And those were the teams that were covering their spreads as opposed to the teams with, a 2 or 3 point spread.
Yeah. I'm mostly scared you're going to put your juju onto my secret Baltimore Ravens large spread betting.
You've got a point there. Maybe we just stay away from it.
I've been riding it, and all of a sudden you're going to hop on the train, and then they're going to win a field goal game with Justin Tucker.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. The way things have been going lately, we're probably best to just stay away from it.
We can put this one in our maybe column. I do think at least you're guaranteed probably a Baltimore, at least an 8-point win there. So at least it's theoretically a conscious decision. This next one is very weird. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, 2 more new positive COVID tests today. So who knows what sort of team they're throwing out there. Pittsburgh Steelers have already said they aren't playing their guys. Cleveland is a 6.5-point favorite. It's up to about 9 now. I don't know how to handicap this game at all. I'm curious how you're going about it.
Well, to me, this was one of those games that I just don't want anything to do with. There's just too many variables in this particular matchup for me. One, the fact that we know that Pittsburgh's not going to play their starters, and if they do, it probably won't be for long. 2, yeah, the Browns have a pretty good record, but you look at what they've done over the last couple of weeks, and they've been kind of a big disappointment. 3, like you said, they have those new COVID positive test results, which I'm still not sure who it is, but practice facility's been closed down, so that probably affects them a little bit. And I just too many variables. Like I said, I don't feel comfortable about this game either way. Even with with Cleveland needing to win this game, I don't feel comfortable about it. So I'm probably going to stay away from this one.
Yeah, Cleveland needing to win it is sort of an important factor, but can they win it would be the real question, I think, here, by over a touchdown. Now, I have this in my picks, but it's sitting at 9 now. And to be honest, at 9, I really like Pittsburgh. But at 6.5, it begins to get around the number where I'd be very nervous of a Pittsburgh team who's going to play a lot of their second string guys. But without knowing who Cleveland tested positive, I'd like to know if it's Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt or something like that. I'd be a much more apt to grab onto Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know, like I said, who the guys are that tested positive. But even the fact that, practice facilities being closed down, during the week for a big game, it just, like I said, just too many variables for me to feel comfortable about it. If the line was at 9, I definitely feel more comfortable taking Pittsburgh, like you said. But at 6, I don't feel comfortable taking either or.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. Any interest in the 6.5, or that just sits too low? It starts to sit too low. I wouldn't feel comfortable at 6.5. I mean, if you gave me 7, I think I would be more comfortable. At least that touchdown game, you get that push off of it. But I don't know if I can make myself go 6.5. But the problem is I don't know what I'm getting from Cleveland, and I wouldn't even dare touch that minus 6.5.
Yeah, I don't think I honestly I would feel more comfortable taking Pittsburgh even with all their backups based off what Cleveland's been doing lately, the way they've been playing, especially this last week with that play calling. I don't understand it, and nothing leads me to believe that they're going to, sway away from messing the game plan up again. You would think that a professional football team would definitely get it right, and they'd switch to run the ball more this game. But even if they do that, that just chews up clock, and we could definitely have a low score. So I don't feel comfortable about it either way.
Okay, we'll move on from that one. We'll move on to one I'm going to let you fully handicap. This one is in your hands. You tell me what we're getting from the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, the Vikings minus 6.5. Dalvin Cook won't be playing. Tragically, his father passed away earlier this week. So Dalvin Cook is out. Now, Alexander Madison, I believe, is healthy and ready to go. So, I mean, he is a solid running back there, but no Dalvin Cook, which would have been the one thing I'd grasp onto, as Dalvin Cook would be trying to rack up as many yards as he could in this game for numbers' sake. But I have no clue about this other than Detroit completely no-showed last week. So I don't know if they're ready to not no-show this week.
Yeah, I don't know what Detroit's going to show up the early in the season. Detroit that could at least make it look, respectable towards the end, or the Detroit that just hasn't shown up at all. The fact that Dalvin Cook isn't playing is a huge turnoff for me. If he was playing, I'd feel a lot more comfortable taking Minnesota in this one. But, unfortunately for him, life is bigger than the game, and he's going through real stuff right now. So, condolences go out to him and his family and his loved ones, but I'm probably not touching this game at all.
That wasn't the analysis I needed. I needed a breakdown, offense, defense, what we're getting in the Minnesota Vikings Detroit Lions game.
You do realize that it's Minnesota and Detroit we're talking about, right?
Okay. No defense. I understand that. Will either team decide to play offense this week?
I mean, I still think that skill position wise, I think Minnesota has the better players. They have the better weapons, at the wide receiver position. And I think that their quarterback is okay. He's decent enough to help them win a game. My concern is without Dalvin Cook there, can the backup running back do enough, to kind of keep the ball out of Cousins' hand, which is the most concerning part for me. I think that if they implement a run first strategy and then, play action, dump off passes, swing passes to the running back, I think that they're in better shape and they probably do cover this. But because I don't know exactly how the backup running back is going to play, it's hard for me to really sit back and feel confident about kind of predicting the way the game will play itself out.
Yeah. I was going to say stat padding wise, I feel like Minnesota will go out there and grab those yards, which is a little interesting considering it's the Detroit Lions who pretty much have played the whole last 20 years of their existence to stat pad and run up numbers that are meaningless. But I don't know if the Vikings will 6.5 stat pad enough. This just feels like a game to wash away and pretend doesn't exist this week.
Yeah, this is probably not going to make it onto, what was it, TB3, TB4?
I don't think this one will be on any TV other than there might be some Alexander Madison props going on.
For me, if it pops up on Red Zone, that's how I'm going to watch it.
All right, next up, New York Jets, New England Patriots. The Jets are locked in to their number 2 slot. The Patriots are 3.5-point favorites. I don't know. I guess Cam Newton is playing quarterback. They haven't really said. They have shrouded themselves in mystery for this meaningless game. The Jets have won 2 in a row. They're hot. What are you feeling here? Who do you think has an advantage?
You know me, I tend to grab my picks early in the week, and I jumped on this one pretty early on in the week. Maybe I was still high on the fumes of that jet propellant that they've put out the last couple of weeks, but I took the Jets. And as the week progressed, I don't feel too comfortable about it. I just don't see a scenario where Bill Belichick, after missing the playoffs, regardless of who's playing at quarterback, I still think that defense can play solid enough, on any given week to, cause a little havoc. I think that game planning is huge for that defense. That offense, there's really nothing to say about the offense. It's almost non-existent regardless of who the quarterback is. So that's probably the only reason why I picked the Jets. But when you bring coaching into it, it probably scares me a little bit, the fact that I took the Jets. I think that Bill Belichick is obviously much better coach than Gaze is, but I still kind of like the Jets. I think that now that it doesn't really matter whether they win or lose, they might come out and play a little more loosely and kind of, I don't know. The Patriots have been really big disappointment to a lot of people, and I'm sure that they're disappointed themselves. Cam Newton spoke publicly about how he didn't perform up to the Patriots standard. So I don't know. Week 17, this is just an odd one for me.
Yeah, I was going to try to convince you to take the Pats here. I feel like Bill Belichick, who, if anyone doesn't know, has an extreme hatred for the New York Jets. It's a personal and vindictive hatred. So if he was going to go out and try to win a game, it would definitely be this one. And I just don't know that number 3.5 versus the Patriots at 3.5. Very scary, especially since I don't know who's going to be playing quarterback. And for that matter, I don't know if I would be more ballyhooed if Stidham was quarterback. I think I actually, as said, this would be more confident if I knew Cam Newton was going out there and playing quarterback. Damian Harris is still a question mark. I don't know if they will use him, but if you could tell me Damian Harris and Cam Newton were going to play, I would lean Patriots here. But that 3.5 number, that hook there, pretty scary.
I mean, ditto to everything you just said. Like I said, I think Bill Belichick is a much better coach. And mind you, this is all coming from the guy that took the Jets.
Yeah.
So, take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, I mean, if we were doing our mutuals and we had to pick one here, if we had to, obviously we don't have to just now. But if we had to,
we're going to have to, because I feel like we're going to go through this list and be a no on pretty much everything.
Well, I mean, I still think that we should probably put the Patriots in the maybe column.
Okay. The other thing, the Jets got 2 wins. They will not go down in history as one of the worst teams ever, except we all watched them play for the first half of the season. So we're quite aware at how awful they were. But I feel like they sort of pack it in now that they got their wins and they don't go winless. But hard call. The 3.5 is a little scary. But we'll move on to the next game. Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. The Dallas Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites on the road here. They've been hot. ESPN has started the narrative that this is the scariest 6-7 win team of all time. I'm not sure I'm buying into that logic. They have beaten up on a lot of crappy teams. But where are you with this one? Cowboys, Giants, really interesting game. The winner of this one can get into the playoffs if the Washington football team loses.
Don't look now, but the Dallas Cowboys have quietly moved themselves up to the 12th spot in total team offense. I probably wouldn't have believed in myself 4 weeks ago if you would have told me this, but over the last few weeks, they've been really hot. The big red pistol has almost taken a step back to the big red rifle days, and he's been slinging it. And, he's had a lot of help from his wide receiver core. His running backs, they've been on and off, especially Ezekiel. He's been pretty cold all season long, but I think he kind of got rejuvenated after seeing his backup go crazy, and all of a sudden he miraculously got healed. But I kind of like Dallas in this one. I feel that this is the type of game to have a letdown with Dallas, a divisional opponent, a divisional rival at that, with the playoff spot on the line. I think that this has all the ingredients for a letdown game, but I still feel more confident that Dallas wins this game as opposed to New York, even as high as I was on them a few weeks back. Yeah,
you're high on Dallas. I'm actually high on the Giants in this one. I'm feeling like this stupid Giants team is going to be the one that ends up sneaking into the playoffs. I don't know why. They've been so awful the last couple of weeks, but I feel like that would be a fitting capper to the NFC East. The Giants, who have been terrible the last couple of weeks, end up somehow sneaking away with this win. Washington can't get it done versus Philly, and we get the 6-win Giants into the playoffs. So their defense has dropped off. If I can't probably talk you into taking the Giants here, other than I think this defense can hold up versus the Cowboys. Daniel Jones looked much better last week. He didn't look great, but I feel like the offense will be back into I shouldn't say good because it wasn't ever good, but it was okay enough to get the job done. That mid what do we say, weeks 8 through 14, where the Giants were on their little streak of playing solid games. I feel like that Giants team might show up this week. Solid defense, good enough offense to get things done. So I'm leaning a little bit Giants here.
I'll tell you what, if you're leaning Giants, and I think we jot that down as our first game because, like I said, even though I like the Cowboys, to me this has all the ingredients, all the makings of a letdown game for the Cowboys. So even though I like them, if you like the Giants, I'm down to go with the Giants for our mutuals.
All right, exciting. This should be a good mutual week. We're taking a team who has been throttled for the last 3 weeks. So good way to start the mutual picks. The New York Giants plus 2.5 at home.
I
All
do
right.
like the plus 2.5.
Yeah, I think the plus is what is giving me a little bit of an interest here. All right. Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Bucks. Tampa Bay Bucks 6.5. They showed they'd like to run it up, but I have no feel on what Tampa's going to do. Something tells me Arians will want to play a bunch of his old people and score a lot of points so he could be like, see how great our offense is in a meaningless game. But the smart thing might be to sit a bunch of these guys and try to win a playoff game the next week. What are you seeing here?
I mean, I agree with you. You know, this team does not have a ton of spring chickens, as people would say, on their roster. A lot of these guys are vets, and they're having their own battle against time. When you look at guys like Brady and Gronk, who've had, for Gronk, had a lot of health issues. He's been pretty worn out from how heavily he was used back in New England. Tom Brady is, what is he, 65 now? I can't remember how old he is. Antonio Brown, who probably has had one of the most roller coaster 2020s and 2019s of any other wide receiver in the NFL. I don't know. To me, they came out a couple weeks ago. They looked really flat until that second half. This last week was pretty much complete domination. I don't know what Tampa Bay team's going to show up, but they also don't have much to play for at this point. I know that there's still some possibilities for seating adjustments, but I don't think it's enough for them to really come out and put on that type of show, especially against a divisional opponent. I think that I feel more comfortable staying away from this. You'd probably have to sway me to get me to pick anything in this game.
Yeah, I was going to try to see if you were going to try to sway me to Tampa Bay. I think you could probably push me towards Tampa Bay if you liked it, because you could convince me that they were going to do something stupid and try to run up the score and be like, look, Brady's still good. He threw 7 touchdowns in week 17 versus the Atlanta Falcons, But if you don't like it, I don't like it. Do you have any convincing argument to take the Falcons in a week 17 game?
I mean, they've looked. I can't even say they've looked good over the last few weeks, because realistically they haven't. They've been in games like that game against Kansas City. They were in it for a while, but how much of that had to do with Kansas City just kind of lolling by, as they do pretty much week in and week out. Another game. What was the other game they had?
It was Tampa Bay 2 weeks ago where they were up 17-0 and
then the second
Atlanta
half
thing and lost.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, they've done this. They've played this card too many times this season to make me feel comfortable about taking them, even as dogs. So I don't feel enough confidence in Tampa Bay, them showing up and putting on a light show. And I don't feel very comfortable with Atlanta because of what they've shown over the last few weeks and pretty much all season long. So for me, this is a pass.
All right, it's a pass. We'll move on to the next one. This one is going to be a fun one because I'm going to try to convince you one way. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis Colts 13.5-point favorites. You give me your breakdown before I try to convince you.
Let's see. Jacksonville's got the number 1 draft pick locked up. Doesn't matter what happens.
That's correct.
Divisional opponents. They know each other well.
That's correct.
The Colts pretty much are on the outside looking in right now.
That's correct.
I could definitely see a scenario where Jacksonville plays them so tough that this is a low-scoring game.
You mean tough like week 1 when Jacksonville beat Indianapolis?
Yeah, but that was week 1. I still think that it was a new strange situation for Phillip Rivers, with the whole dynamic of that offense. It was a new situation for him. I think that probably played a lot into it. Jacksonville's been really bad defensively as of late. They've been missing some of their key players that have basically given them a shot to win all season long. Is their running back playing this week?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I wasn't going to mention that in my convincing to take the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's just to me, that's their best weapon. And if they don't have him, against a really good team with a really good defense, to me, this is probably, I don't know, even though I know they won that first matchup, I still think that this is probably one of those games that ends up being a blowout. I don't know how much it's going to help the Colts in the end because they're still scoreboard watching, but I'm probably staying away from this game.
Well, supposedly they were going to black out the scoreboard so the Colts didn't scoreboard watch. But the thing that I like here is the number. I don't think the Colts are going to lose this game, but I do think the Jags can cover this 13.5 number. That just seems like a awfully large number. The Jags can play hard in this game. They won't call in the Mike Glennon interception pick 6 to make sure that they don't win the game. So I just like the number here. Jacksonville getting 13.5. I think they might actually play Indianapolis well. So I think this game might be a little closer than what this number indicates.
I mean, if you feel that strongly about it, I'll ride with you with Jacksonville. And if they somehow happen to cover this, I'll be, singing your praises next week when I call you the Jacksonville hero and what a great call you did to save our mutuals season. So if you feel that confident about it, let's roll with the Jaguars.
All right. Jacksonville Jaguars plus 13.5. What a way to end the year. Giants, Jags.
Oh, guys, that sounds so sad when you put it that way.
Well, it might get worse as we get down here further. So enjoy yourself now.
Oh, gosh. What else do you got for us?
I have another one down here that you probably won't love either. But it's a favorite team betting for and against of yours. So it's possible you have somehow wagered on them every week of the season. So
is it the Raiders?
It possibly might be the Raiders game.
Gosh. Let's hear it.
All right. Next up, Chargers at Chiefs. Minus 3.5 for the Los Angeles Chargers. Chiefs have already said they're pulling everybody out. They have the 1 seed locked up. I don't know, though. A part of me does not want to trust the Los Angeles Chargers in Kansas City minus 3.5. It would take me a lot of convincing to take the Chargers here. You could probably convince me to take the Chiefs here because Andy Reid is still running that offense. So where are we going?
I'll tell you what. Yes, Andy Reid is still running that offense. And they are playing in Kansas City, but it's not Patrick Mahomes, and it won't be Kelsey, and it won't be the Cheetah. It's going to be an entirely different group of guys there. Now, is that a huge drop off? Maybe if it was just one player, not so much. But the fact that it's everybody, I think it is a huge drop off. And what we've seen from the Chargers, especially over the last couple of weeks, they've been playing well, good enough to get some wins. And even in games where we probably thought they weren't going to get the win. I think that this is Lynn trying to save his job for next season. And not just that, the young quarterback has been stellar all season long. And I don't see it changing this week against a divisional opponent. Last game of the season, I think he probably comes out and just kind of lights it up. So I kind of like the Chargers this week.
The other thing that concerns me, Allen will be out again. Bosa is going to be out for the Chargers. I don't know. I probably shouldn't try to convince you to take the Chiefs here. I need to save it for my other one a little bit down the road. I also am not a lover of Chad Henne. That would be the backup quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. I think if you could had a little bit better upgrade at quarterback, but if anybody could make Chad Henne good, it would be Andy Reid. So I guess we'll pass on this one just because I don't think there is any way in hell you could convince me to take the Chargers minus 3.5 at Kansas City. I don't care who Kansas City is playing, but taking a Chiefs team where a game doesn't matter, I don't think that should be touched either.
Yeah, to me, like I said, I just think that the Chiefs have absolutely nothing to gain from this game, and they have everything to lose just by one guy getting hurt. So I think that they're going to be playing nothing but secondary, second team guys, and uh, a second team Chiefs team is probably slightly worse than the first team Chargers team, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. New Orleans Saints 6.5-point favorites. I guess the Saints are playing their guys here. They can still get that 1 seed. They have to win to get the 1 seed. Packers have to lose. Hard game to handicap. I really like the Carolina Panthers getting 6.5 here, but I just don't know what we're getting from the Saints. If you're telling me Kamara's going to play full bore, Breeze is going to play full bore, Murray's going to play, all their linemen, all their defense, but something tells me the Saints might play them a half at most. And that's where I think this line for Carolina seems pretty nice.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't trust anything that Sean Payton says. This is the same guy who basically leaked it to the press that we're going to have the Winston experiment in New Orleans when Breeze got hurt. And how much time did he get to play? So I don't trust anything Sean Payton has to say. He says he's going to play his guys. Like you said, I think that maybe he plays them maybe for a quarter. I don't see him really bringing them out and putting those guys at risk. They have
seems
too much
crazy to
lose.
me that they would risk Kamara or Breeze in this game for I guess the 1 seed really matters to them, but they don't control their fate. I mean, they could win this game and the Packers win, then it's all for naught. And you risk Breeze, you risk Kamara, you risk all those defensive guys in a game that doesn't really matter all that much.
Now, I mean, I don't have it like in front of me, but I'm just trying to find out what time the games are, because I think that also plays a factor into it. If one of the games kind of decides something early on.
Well, they have it matched up to where the Packers and the Saints are playing at the same time, so they can't really know.
I figured as much. I just wanted to check, but yeah, I just, to me, that there's more to lose than there is to gain here. I think that they're just probably going to go ahead and call it a regular season and get ready for the playoffs. And I'm probably staying away from this game.
Okay. Any interest in the Panthers or
A little
stay
bit,
away?
but I just don't know. Sean Payton, even if he does play his backups, we might see Winston play for the first time. And
that would be the other thing that would make me nervous. They could go Taysom Hill. They could go Jameis Winston. They're still, unlike Kansas City, who's going with Chad Henne, they have multiple options that this offense could run pretty well with.
Yeah, I think that they have respectable names. They in the NFL, they probably have the best, quarterback room of any other NFL team, just off pedigree alone. So I think that even with their backup quarterback, it still scares me enough to not want to take the Panthers. But I don't feel good about it either way.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one, and we're going to anger Dynamite David here because I'm going to try to convince you a certain way in a certain game here. The Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. The Tennessee Titans are 7.5-point favorites. I want to take the Houston Texans plus 7.5 here.
Oh gosh, no, no, you did not just say that.
I think they will be able to pass on the Titans. This game went to overtime. I think the defense will. I shouldn't say it will not be good, but they will be a little more amped up after J.J. Watt called them all quitters. I think they want to spoil the Tennessee Titans. I think that would make their season. So I think we get a ramped up performance here from the Texans. The other thing, the Texans don't have a draft pick, so winning or losing doesn't really matter in this game. And I just think this Tennessee Titans secondary is not going to be able to handle Deshaun Watson. I think this is a close game. I don't know if the Texans will win, but I think they cover that 7.5-point spread.
Listen, I told Dynamite Dave in private when we were talking football one day that as that Green Bay and Tennessee Titan matchup, I thought that Tennessee could pull it off. And boy, was I wrong. And now I feel like my bad juju is kind of infecting any team that I even talk about. So I'm not gonna do a disservice to our colleague and talk about his team and give them a confidence boost because I think he's confident enough for them. I'm just gonna stay quiet here, uh, but I still think Tennessee wins this game.
But do they cover the 7.5?
I don't know if I really want to get into it.
I think we should take the Texans plus the 7.5.
But you know my rule. You're the host. If you like them that much, we're going with the Texans at 7.5.
We're going with the Texans at 7.5. It's a big week. Week 17, Jags, Giants, Texans.
Oh my! I almost forgot. I was gonna say if you could only see what I'm doing right now. I forgot we're in a video chat. You could definitely see what I'm doing.
We're live on the air. Everyone
Yeah.
can see what you're doing.
Oh gosh. Oh. Yeah, I feel very confident about our picks. It sounds great.
All right, we'll move on to a meaningful game. Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears. Green Bay Packers 5.5-point favorites. I don't want to handicap this one just because I don't know what we're getting from Green Bay. I know they want to go for this 1 seed because a bye, home field advantage throughout definitely will help them. But I think we're going to get a spirited Bears performance here. 1 win away from the playoffs after that disastrous middle that they played. How are you seeing this one?
Like I said last week with the Bears, they've been hot. They've scored like 30 points per game over their last 3 games. This last week, they performed offensively as good as I thought they were going to. There's a possibility that this is actually more of a shootout than we expected early on this season. So I probably don't want to handicap this game either. I probably just want to watch it. I think there's a lot of possible TV moments in this game. Some buzzworthy moments that could come from it also. So I'm more interested in just watching this game than I am in betting in it.
Yeah. Any thought that maybe you bench Rodgers, you bench Jones? A.J. Dillon came in and looked pretty good for the Packers. I don't know. I think Green Bay is one of those that really does have to go after that 1 seed. I think that would be a huge advantage for them.
Well, I do think that Green Bay plays a lot better at home. Not just that, out of all the teams that we've spoke about so far, I think that they probably are best suited to getting that home field advantage. Playing in Wisconsin in January, going into February, probably not one of the funnest things you could do. But if anyone's acclimated to doing it, it's a team that plays there. So I think that it probably serves them best to try and get that 1 seed. And I do predict them coming out. But I think that if this game gets away from them early on, I think they probably just pull their starters and just go ahead and tip their hats off and give it away.
Yeah, I guess we probably can't go either way. I think it's too big a spread for the Packers to cover. I think the Green Bay will be active, but the Green Bay backup quarterback situation is pretty bad, despite them wasting a first-round pick on Jordan Love, who technically speaking is not their backup quarterback. That would be the subdivision superstar Tim Boyle from Eastern Kentucky. Shout out to our boys from Eastern Kentucky. They were a very good, solid subdivision team, but I'm not sure Tim Boyle would be able to handle the duties of a backup quarterback that I would be confident in covering a 5.5-point spread if he came in the second half.
Yeah, Eastern Kentucky. That's one of those schools that you have a pipeline with. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that I feel comfortable about this spread either way, just because of the implications here. So I'm probably just going to stay away from it.
All right, we'll move on. Las Vegas Raiders, Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos plus 2.5. I like the Broncos here. I think they're going to get a win at home to close out this season. They already said Vic Fangio's coming back. I don't know if that's a good decision, but the coach is not a lame duck. So that Broncos defense has played solid all year long. They played solid again last week versus San Diego. If Drew Lock doesn't throw three crushing picks in this game. I think the Broncos dominated.
Lock it down, buddy, because I also like Denver. I think that bringing Fangio back is actually a good thing. That team really has had a poor season. For one, they had a lot of injuries to that defense early on, and the quarterback situation probably isn't the best. They definitely could use another signal caller, but that's neither here nor there. We'll worry about that during the offseason. As far as Week 17 goes, I like that defense going up against that Raiders offense. They've been pretty up and down these last few weeks, and they've cost me more than a few times. So I'd be more than happy to pick against the Raiders this week.
All right. That wasn't a hard convince. Denver Broncos plus 2.5 at home. We're getting a lot of points this week. So even if we're down, we're never out of it.
Exactly.
All right. We've come to this game. Prepare yourself.
Do I need to put it on?
Your analysis, your unbiased analysis on this one.
Do I need to put this on?
Put your helmet on. You might need it to cover your face as you try to handicap this game here. Arizona Cardinals at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams are 1.5-point favorites still. The hits keep coming. Cooper Kupp out with COVID. There hasn't been a ton said about Akers. I don't know if they are going to play him or not. I'm sure they're going to try. But how do you feel about this one? Do you have a bet either way? I'm in total stay away from this on both sides because I'm not trusting Cliff Kingsbury to win me a game in a must-win situation ever in my life.
Yes, Week 17, as hot as Kyler Murray was early on in the season, I still wouldn't bank my money on the Arizona Cardinals offense to win a must-win game in Week 17 against a divisional rival with probably one of the better defenses in the league. With that being said, even though it's my team and I love them, I don't feel very confident about my team's chances simply because they're going to be really low at running back. They had to sign another quarterback because we need a backup to our backup. Jared Goff being out, if you would have told me last week, I probably would have been happy about it just because of the poor performance he's had over the last few weeks. But then we started talking about the backup quarterback last week during our review show, and we don't know what we're getting from him. I will say this. I think that the coaching staff, like I said last week, has confidence in him. And if they didn't, they would have signed a veteran to back up Goff as opposed to him. I think that they've seen enough flashes from him to feel that he could probably manage a game. If we somehow manage to get Akers back, I think it boosts our chances a little bit. But then again, I don't know if he's back at 100%. And we still don't know the situation with Cooper Kupp. He could clear. We've seen it happen where a player gets put on the list. Doesn't necessarily mean that, they're not going to play because testing gets done and then they come back negative. So there's still the possibility that he might play. I don't know if it's guaranteed that he won't. So I think this Week 17 must-win game. I don't want to bet on this. I'm probably just going to sit in my rocking chair, curled up with my Rams blanket and my Rampage stuffed animal pillow, and I'm probably going to be just hoping for the best.
Yeah. My feeling on this one, I think this Ram defense is going to go all out and win them this game. Now, when we get to the playoffs, that might take enough out of them where they aren't going to win a playoff game. But I think this Ram defense is going to try to carry them into at least the playoffs here. So I lean Rams here, but I'm very, very, very scared of this Rams offense right now. If you're telling me there's no Cooper Kupp, we got Malcolm Brown in the backfield, we got John Walford at playing quarterback. You just, as smart as Sean McVay is, there becomes a point which the Niners hit as well. You saw it. Once you start getting into backups of backups, it's just a very scary situation to generate offense in. And if this defense can't generate at least a couple turnovers to make short fields and it easy on this offense, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think that a team like the 49ers is actually better suited for this type of matchup. With all the injuries and everything, I think that they're more of a next guy up type of team. Whereas in the Rams, I think they're very starter dependent.
Yeah.
So I don't feel confident about this game. But listen, I've put up with really bad seasons where my team won one game, two games. I've put up with seasons where they missed the playoffs by a game, even though they put a good product on the field. So I'm not bummed out about it. I think it was a great season overall, regardless of whatever happens and whatever the outcome is. I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to cheer my guys on and hope they make it into the playoffs, because there still is a possibility that they miss out on the playoffs. So
yeah. It was just funny. 2 weeks ago, we were discussing them as dark horse Super Bowl candidates, and now we're in this weird situation here.
Not shocking if we really sit back and listen to to all the reviews we've done regarding Rams games. It seems like there's been a consistent theme, and that's been the bad play at quarterback or the mistakes, the jitteriness at the quarterback position. But I think that we've talked this team up, and rightfully so, because of that defense. They definitely have a Super Bowl caliber defense. Could there be a scenario where we get a Baltimore Ravens type of season or playoff season where that defense is so good that they could win with anyone at quarterback? I don't think the Rams are built that way, but the defense is still, to me, a Super Bowl caliber defense. And you never know, man. This is why we play games. It's why we don't play them on paper. It's why we go out and play them on the field. So I'm not counting my guys out. I'm going to be cheering them on. But I want no action in this game because I don't want double heartache.
Yeah. All right. Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers. Seahawks are 5.5-point favorites. I guess they can get that one seed. A lot of scenarios have to break for that. Pete hasn't said he's not playing his guys, so I guess he's going full bore here. But I don't know how much of that I buy. I really struggled to handicap this one. I'm not touching Seattle at 5.5, but I'm not necessarily I've ridden San Francisco a lot this year, but I don't want them at 5.5 either. So tough game for me to break down. Curious how you saw it.
Yeah, I mean, divisional opponents, divisional rivals, especially over the last few seasons, these have been 1 and 2 when it comes to the top of the food chain in the NFC West. Both teams have been to Super Bowls. Seattle has won, a Super Bowl, but I don't count the 49ers out regardless of how good team we think Seattle is. Defensively, they definitely seem to have, taken a step forward over the last few weeks. And maybe that's enough to pull this win off. But with it being a divisional opponent and as tough and as great as the 49ers have been against just about anybody they faced other than the Dolphins, I'm not counting San Francisco out. So I'm probably staying away from it. I think the line's just a little too big for me because of how well these teams play each other.
Yeah. Do you think Seattle's going to play their guys?
I think they're going to. I don't see a purpose to why they would, to be honest with you. Again, the seating situation is still to be determined. So I get that. But to me, in this particular season with COVID and no fans and all that, I think you just pack it in and you keep your guys healthy. I could only imagine something going horribly wrong and them second guessing why they would even play somebody week 17 when the reward is not worth the risk.
Especially somebody like Adams, who's been banged up all year. I wouldn't take the chance. And that's why I wouldn't touch this game. And San Francisco's played harder all year. So I think you could convince me to take San Francisco if I had to pick this game one way or the other, but I just would want to leave it alone. So we'll move on to the next one, the final game of the week. Washington football team, Philadelphia Eagles. No word on who's playing quarterback for the Washington football team. I don't think Fletcher Cox is going to be playing for the Eagles, which tells me the Eagles defense will be abysmal. So I just don't know what to make of this. secrecy is going around in the Washington. Everyone says they love Heineke, but then stuff gets leaked that they want Alex Smith to play, and they're hoping he's healthy. They said last week he was right up to the point of being ready to go. So I just don't know what to make of this. Also, Washington has proven that they will be cutthroat and play injured quarterbacks if it means selling their soul and getting them into the playoffs. You can ask Robert Griffin's career about that. So I really don't know how to go about this.
Yeah, I think that if somehow, some way, Alex Smith is good to go, I think that I like Washington's chances a little bit better, even as high as I've been on Philadelphia ever since that quarterback change. I think that that quarterback change revitalized the team. They were definitely heading towards the bottom pit, and it almost gave them like a second win, and they came back and won a few games and got back into the mix of winning that division. Now, granted, it's the NFC East, and it doesn't take much to get back in it. But with all that,
here's the thing. I think people think they did come back and win a couple games. They actually only won the Saints game. They've actually been just as bad with Hurts. They just have been a little bit more spunky on offense. So I think it's sort of masked that they still aren't winning football games, no matter who's playing quarterback there.
but you see, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. That's what it goes to show how perception is such a big part of, and especially this season, with everybody kind of cooped up. And I think that the perception is that they're a much better team.
Yeah.
Maybe because it added a different depth to the team, or maybe because they started actually playing better. They're right. There's only been one win. So, I mean, it's not like they've been that much better.
And that was because of a good first half. If you look at the second half of that Saints game, they put it on them and almost came back and won that one. So they could very easily just have not won a game with Hurts there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could definitely, I could definitely see a scenario where with the missing, with Cox not playing for Philly, I think that this could definitely be one of those games where if Alex Smith plays, the defense swallows up the offense, Washington versus Philadelphia. And I think that Washington's offense does enough to pull off a win. How confident I am in that, I don't know. I know that you've been pretty big on Washington pretty much all season long, and you also have them as a pick to win that division.
Yeah. If I could have removed Haskins 2 weeks ago, I would have been much more confident. They should have just let McKissick take direct snaps and run the ball up the middle.
So how is it? I mean, do they still have a shot, right?
Who? Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah. All they have to do is win, and they win the division.
Okay. So I think that we have to go with Washington this week.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm not in love with Heineke. Well, I am, because I loved him at Old Dominion. I loved taking that team for overs. They'd play 40 and 50-point games all the time. But I think they're going to try to push Smith out there. Antonio Gibson came back last week, looked pretty good, so he looks healthy. My only concern was McLaurin's probably not going to play. But I think also that defense can harass Hurts. Their secondary is going to be bad. No Fletcher Cox. So I really like Washington here. I think when they're in, I think Rivera can sort of game plan this to get that win. Now, once we get to the playoffs, I don't care who they're playing. We're taking against it next week.
Yeah, I'm not super confident in Washington, but I do like their chances, especially if Alex Smith plays. I think he gives them a better chance at winning that game. And with, like I said, the weapons on the Philadelphia Eagles side of the ball on defense, the fact that they are missing pieces, I think it completely changes the dynamic of that defense. Their pass rush isn't as effective as it normally is. So I think that defensively, I think Washington's probably better this week. Offensively, if Alex Smith, I think it's more on par. So I would give the edge to Washington. So I feel comfortable taking Washington if you feel that good about it.
So do I. All right. So we got through it and got our 5. Are you ready for this list?
Yeah, let's do it. I know this is going to sound horrible.
We start off with the New York Giants getting 2.5 points. We move to the Jacksonville Jaguars getting 13.5 points. Then the fearsome Houston Texans, 7.5 points. The Denver Broncos 2.5 points. And finally, the Washington football team minus a half point. A who's who list of the NFL this season.
Yeah, the bottom tier of the NFL.
One of these teams is going to be making the playoffs.
Yeah, a couple of them might actually, which is the shocking part about it. If you sit back and just listen to the teams we talked about, we basically picked the worst teams that we could have picked to win this week.
We didn't take the Jets.
No. Yeah. Well, I took the Jets. So
Yes, I know. I think
just
you were trying to talk us into the Jets.
that just completes the entire circle there. But no, I still feel confident. I think that with it being week 17, like I said earlier, this is week 17. It's really hard to pick games this late in the season. But I think that we did probably as good as his job as we could do under the circumstances. So I think we're good to go.
All right. So it's now time for our individual picks. Are you ready to get into our individual picks?
I think so.
Okay, so let's recap last week. I'm sorry I have to do this to you. You're
That's
closing
okay.
poorly. You had a great start, and we got to keep you above Mount 500 in this year because you're trending very badly.
It's the fact that I took so many games in weeks where I didn't like any of the games. I don't understand what I was thinking, but
You
let's do
had
this.
a 1-4 week last week. You had the said Dolphins minus 2.5. That one did not hit. You had the Washington football team minus 2. In Dwayne Haskins, we trust. Power be with you, brother.
I wish you well on your journey to I don't know where.
That league where the fans call the plays where Johnny Manziel just signed up.
Gosh.
I'm sure those are some high dollar games. They possibly might make less money than us who's playing in those.
There you go. But now that they have their championship game set up, Haskins versus Manziel.
All right. Well, it takes place mostly in Houston. There are numerous strip clubs abound in the Houston area. So,
So he's got a little something to do after the game now.
yeah, I know. There probably lax COVID rules too. So they might not even enforce masks there.
He doesn't like to wear them anyway. So
All right. So you had Washington minus 2. Your win. Denver Broncos plus 3.5. There you go. 19-16. A good cover. The Rams plus 2.5. And finally, the Eagles minus 1.5. So a 1-4. It brings you to 42, 38-3 on the year. 4 games above 500. Don't take 5 games.
no. I was waiting for you to read out the record so I could decide which way I was going to go. Because
All
I had.
I went 3-1 on the week. I took the Carolina Panthers. Dwayne Haskins started. I said, if Haskins starts, I want the Panthers. I took the Panthers. I also had the Denver Broncos plus 3.5. I had the Eagles. That did not cover. And also my Cincinnati Bengals plus 7.5. The late edition, the pride of Bengal Nation came in there. 3-1 on the week, 48-40-1 on the year. All right, so let's get into our picks this week. How many picks do you got this week?
I'm finally going to do the right thing and play it safe, and I'm going with 3.
Oh, a big 3. Guess what? I got a big 3 as well. All right, you start us out.
Okay, I'm going to start off with the Dallas Cowboys at -2 going up against the Giants. I'm doing this one for Fish.
All right, I'm going the other way. The New York Giants plus the 2 versus the Dallas Cowboys. Giant pride. I'm feeling a run to the Super Bowl. That's not accurate. I'm not feeling a run to the Super Bowl.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I was expecting the Frank Sinatra drop.
Prepare yourself as we take them to the playoffs and runs to the Super Bowl throughout every week. We'll probably be getting double-digit points. So at least there's that.
Yeah, we do have that to look forward to. It should make it somewhat interesting.
All right, what do you got next?
For my second game, I am taking the Los Angeles Chargers at -3.5 against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, you're riding the Chargers. You think they're going to come out and beat the Chiefs' second team? Oh, my.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
And
That they
Anthony
do.
Lynn, we trust. I should give you the coach's Black Friday over-under on Monday.
No, all you got to do is give me your inside information. I know that the Chargers are one of those teams that you have access to. So,
All right. Next up, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers plus the 9 versus the Cleveland Browns.
oh, I forgot about that game. I probably would have taken that one instead of the Chargers one. But anyway, let's move on. My third game, I am taking the Denver Broncos at +2.5 against the Raiders.
How exciting is this? Our final pick of the 2020 regular season. I also have the Denver Broncos plus the 2.5. Down we go with Denver. Drew Lock, our man.
Hey, I have to go with them. They got me my win last week, so I have to stick with them this week. And Drew, we trust. So let's ride them till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, that will be next season when they have a new quarterback in there.
Well, I'm riding this season, so let's go, baby.
All right, that's our show for the week. Be sure to follow all our podcasts on greenlightnetwork.org. Where can we find you, Achilles?
You can find me on Twitter at TD Achilles. You can find me on Instagram at TD Achilles as well. Really quick, I just wanted to let everyone know we are going to do a little bit of a giveaway for the playoffs. We'll be picking one team in the NFC and one team in the AFC. We'll pick the game, or you'll pick the game because you're the host. And what we'll do is we'll have people submit what they think the score total will be for both teams combined. Whoever gets closest without going over wins, and we'll send them some goodies. But we'll get more into that on our Facebook page, so make sure you check that out, our Facebook page, Greenlight Network. And for more details, they should be coming up shortly.
Yeah. All right. Greenlight Network, Facebook page. Like and subscribe. You can find me at GLNChamp5, both on Twitter and Instagram. That's our show, and we're out.